disappear. Okay, so I don't want to disappear. Thank you for being here. My name is Joneen Mackenzie, and I flew out from Colorado to be with you today, and I'm so honored to be here. Nancy serves on a board with me, a national board with me, and I'm always in awe when she speaks. And and you're very lucky to have her here in New York. Actually, I was brought up in New York, and in Brooklyn, in Flatbush. And then I was 13, and I moved to South New York, which is Florida. And then I went to University of Texas, and in nursing major, and then I joined the military, and I was an Air Force nurse. So I worked in CCU and ICU for many years, and then had 4 children, all in 6 years, and then I couldn't work. I mean, outside the home, except for a lot of volunteer work, but it was interesting. You know, I feel like I was doing a lot of heart work. You know, with being in coronary care, and I'm still doing a lot of heart work in a different kind of way. So I run the Center for Relationship Education in Denver, but we're a national. Even though we're located in Denver, our program is in 43 states and 7 countries. So it's very, very exciting. I also run the Healthy Marriage Project in Colorado and fatherhood and all those things that we're talking about. So how did we all put it together? Let's put a ribbon on all of this as the last breakout. Okay? Basically, I want to, Jonathan, can you turn on the slideshow? And I just want to share with you the data about poverty and how it is a determinant of health. And the metaphor that I can use for this is, here's what we do in this country. Here's what we do. All our cars are like wobbling, you know, like we have tires that went into the pothole, or now they're out of alignment and they're flat, and you know, your car's not working right, and so all these, you're going into get your car fixed, and everybody's getting their car fixed because the tires are not right because they went to the pothole. And what we need to do is fix the pothole. It takes a lot of money to fix the tires. If we just fix the pothole. And we're talking all about issues that are not the root causal issues. And so I'm going deeper. I'm going to go deeper. And I'm fast. You know, New Yorkers, they have a certain rhythm. You know, so you're used to that rhythm already because you live here. But because of time, I just want to go fast, and then I'm going to do a couple of activities, because if it's not fun, we don't do it. Okay? And if you work with teenagers, if it's not fun, I like to say when kids are laughing, they're learning. So everything we do is interactive and fun and ooey gooey, and that's what, you know, we talk about having the best sex. That's a fun thing to do. Having the best sex. That kids, when they come in and you start talking to them and they hear that phrase, their head comes off the desk. Right? I want this. Whatever she's talking about, I want it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what do we see in the data set. This is a graph. This comes from the Census Bureau. And I know that it's a 2008 slide, and I checked the new numbers. And the numbers have ticked up a little bit, but not that much that I would have to make a new slide. And you know how a census is every 10 years, so, you know, it's every 10 years. So this is a census report, and the growth of unwed childbearing is since the 30s. This is where we are. We're almost at 50%. We're headed to 50%. And this is the driver of poverty for the most part, unless you're Madonna. Okay, and this is not, you know, add to this divorce. Okay, so let's say you've got, you did marry, then you had a baby in that sequence, in that order, and then you got divorced. But let's say you're just living above the poverty line when you got divorced. Now, both of you are living in separate domiciles. Both of you are, you know, think about all of the financial stuff going on with that. Now you're in poverty. Now 2 people are in poverty. But more importantly, the child's in poverty. Okay, so the next slide is, out of that 41%, according to the Census Bureau, only 7.7, and the new data is about 11%. Okay, so on this slide is 2008. The new data is 11% of unwed childbearing is teenage pregnancy. But how many initiatives across the country do we talk about with teen pregnancy? It's all of it. Teen pregnancy, teen pregnancy. We never talk about the issue of non-marital childbearing. Okay? And so look at the ages. You know, as you get older, it's riskier to have a baby outside of a marriage. So the most of it is 20 to 24-year-olds. And some of us are not even addressing those people, those young adults. So we're talking to college kids. We have singles workshops. The name of our workshop is Guarding Your Heart and Filling Up Your Love Tank. And a lot of people come to that. Guarding Your Heart, we have waiting list. Guarding Your Heart, Filling Up Your Love Tank. Okay? And so and then we do divorce recovery, because everybody wants to be loved well. Everybody wants to be loved well, and so we're going to be teaching them how to love well. Let me go through these data sets, then we'll go into the scope of the problem with poverty, because I have all the data for that. Then we'll go into the solution. Let's not just talk about the problem. Let's be solution-based. Okay? So marriage, and let me just say, we don't define marriage. We don't get into that whole debate of defining marriage. We have gays coming to our workshop because marriage is legal. You know, all kinds of marriage is legal in Colorado because everybody loves well. Everybody wants to be loved well, whether you're young, whether you're old, whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're gay, whether you're straight. Okay? We want to teach these issues around that paradigm, that we're human. We don't identify in a certain group. We're human. You don't have to change music. You know, you don't have to change music for gay people. They respond the same to music. You don't have to change comedy, you know, for a certain group. Everybody responds to comedic stuff. Laugh at Seinfeld, right? So that's what I'm talking about. Let's look at the human condition and do what is hopeful for the human condition. Okay? So this tells us marriage drops the probability of child poverty by 82%. 82%! And children who are not living in poverty do better. Duh. That's a duh statement. And I'll show you that in a moment with the CDC study. Unwed birth rates vary strongly by race. Okay, so you've got the black, non-Hispanic at 71%. It's now up to like almost 73% in some communities. Okay, Hispanic, non-Hispanic, white, and all races. And here's a story I'm going to tell you about. Here's a story. Not too long ago, we were asked to do a workshop in inner city Denver. And these kids were mostly minority kids and mostly boys. And they wanted us to come in because there was violence going on and gang activity and windshields were being broken and da-da-da. And they wanted us to talk about relationships. And so we have the Healthy Marriage Project. And so the gal says, well, we'll pay you $2,500 to do that for like an 8-hour period. I said, you don't have to pay us $2,500. We have a marriage grant from the Administration for Children and Families, from HHS. And it's a $2 million a year grant. So we have plenty of money to serve this community. And they said, oh, no, we don't want you talking about marriage. Because none of these kids come from a healthy marriage. And it might make them feel bad. And so my trainer called me and said, what do you want me to do? And I said, well, let her pay. Because we can't talk about marriage, we can't use this grant money. So just talk about relationships. So she took all her marriage stuff out of the training kit, and she went in and talked about about relationships. But I said to her, I said, you know, I think that's pretty silly. Because I bet their parents didn't go to college. We still talk about college. Okay, so you see how that's kind of silly. It's almost like a politically correct thing. Let's not talk about marriage because it'll make them feel bad. And so she's talking about relationships and ooey gooey things, issues of the heart, your love tank, filling up your love tank, your personality, your love language, your stages of attachment, stages of commitment. And all of these kids are falling in love with this trainer. Some of you know who she is, Shelley. Okay, and they say, hey, tall lady, obviously they weren't talking to me. Will you come to have lunch with us? So she had lunch with them, and now it's her time. It's kind of like, you know, what's his name, Spicoli? It's my time, Mr. Helm. And so the kids are, she's asking the kids some questions. So she says, how many of you, now there's 67, most middle school, mostly high school, mostly boy, minority kids. And here's what the question she asked them. How many of you have ever seen a wedding, seen a healthy relationship in your neighborhood, seen a lifetime committed relationship, seen, you know, seen healthy? How many do you think said that they had out of 67 kids?
5.
0. Then she said, how many have ever been to a wedding? Seen a wedding in your neighborhood? Been to a wedding? How many? 0. And then she asked them, how many of you been to a funeral? All of them. Think about the difference between a wedding, fun, family, food, friendship, future. Right? Wedding, crazy weddings. Okay? And a funeral. And one of the things in positive youth development, if you could give a kid one thing, what do they say you should give them? What? What'd you say? Love? According to positive youth development, what do you think it is?
Future orientation.
Yeah, future orientation, but think about what the word is.
Stability.
Stability? According to the research and all the experts in positive youth development, if you can give a kid one thing, it is hope.
Oh.
Hope that they can get there, hope. So the point is, these kids, think about a wedding and a funeral. Does a funeral elicit hope? No, it elicits the end. And future orientation is all wrapped up with commitment, and together we're going forward, and okay? So it was shocking to me. And so the woman who brought us in is hearing all this. And she says to Shelley, I was wrong. I was wrong. Talk about marriage. Talk about lifetime committed monogamous. So Shelley said, I don't have any of my stuff. I left it, and to honor you, I left it home. And she said, well, what can I do? She goes, well, go to Safeway and get this video, this way, and get a cake, any cake. We'll pretend it's a wedding cake. And get this and get mints, and they started the whole afternoon, they were talking about planning a wedding. Thinking about a wedding. What kind of spouse do you want? What do they look like? What is their character? What are your expectations of a committed relationship? And that's what they started to talk about. And so all these kids, hey, tall lady, can you come to my school? Because they were all from different schools. It was a community-based group. Can you come to my school? Can you come to workforce readiness? Because I'm not in school. I'm trying to get my GED. Can you come here? And she did. But do you see my point? We're not talking about this in the public square. And this is huge. And there's a reason for this. There's a reason for this. The war on poverty. Who knows when the war on poverty started? LBJ. Who knows? Yeah, 64.
Kennedy. Edward Kennedy and LBJ.
Well, that's right, LBJ. That's that whole administration. Okay? What was also going on back then? Yeah, Vietnam. What else? Civil rights.
Civil rights.
Okay, so 64, civil rights, and then we have the war on poverty. What were the rules of AFDC, Aid to Family Dependent Children? What were the rules? Who knows? 3 rules. 3 rules to get this money. No man in the home, no job, no savings. Who needed this money the most? our minority friends, because they didn't have the same rights that we had. And guess what? 85% of African American families were married in 1964. And this was a drip, 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 and now it's a social norm. Yes?
Did you say, I'm sorry, you said the 3 rules, did you say no man at home?
No man in the home.
No man at home, okay, thank you.
No man in the home, no job, no savings. That's the only way you could get this money. And what happened in 1996? 30 years,
Welfare.
welfare reform. Welfare reform, 1996, under the Clinton administration. It was called the 1996 Welfare Reform Act. Welfare Reform and Social Responsibility Act signed under Clinton. And AFDC became Temporary Assistance to Needy Families. Who knows TANF? Who works at TANF? Okay, what are the 4 requirements of TANF?
Reduce out of wedlock births is probably the #1 one.
Reduce out of wedlock childbearing.
Support safe and stable families.
Mwah! Mwah! Thank you. The fact is that most of my county commissioners, I have 64 sets of county commissioners in my state. Sets. I mean, not just one county commissioner, I've got sets. So that means there are 3 or 4 or 5 of them in each county. And half of them, I'd say 3/4 of them don't know the requirements of TANF. And we get TANF grants all over the place. Because what do? We reduce non-marital childbearing through relationship education, skill building, and people don't even know what they don't know. Do you know that there's research out there on how to make relationships work and how to make relationships fail? Well, here's something news that you can use. News that you can use. What's the #1 predictor of relationship dissolution? According to the research, not my opinion. Money? What else?
Age of marriage?
It could be age of marriage. What else? Any guesses? Children? Parenting? Sex? Right? According to the research, the #1 cause of relationship dissolution is the inability to work through conflict. Doesn't matter what the conflict's about. If you always have a winner and always have a loser, the loser's leaving. Nobody wants to be a loser. Right? So, Dr. Scott Stanley and Howard Markman at the University of Denver Center for Marital and Family Studies, there's actually people who study this stuff, created a program on how to do conflict well. It is planned, it's sequential, it's strategic, but it's simple. I can teach it to my 4-year-old grandgirls, and I do. How to resolve conflict. You don't always have to have a strong personality winning a conflict. I got a granddaughter who's very strong, and the other one who's artsy-fartsy, spinny princess. And the princess one never wins, because the one who's stronger, dominates. And so we do conflict resolution. Okay, and creative problem solving, and we're gonna negotiate a settlement. How about, Leah? How about, let's come up with a solution. If a 4-year-old can do it, we can teach it to people. Do you see what I'm saying? It's not hard, it's just we don't know what we don't know. But anyway, this has been studied. Okay, so this African American families has been studied, and there's a book out called, it's a kind of an older book by Catherine Eaton, Why Poor Women Choose Motherhood Over Marriage, Before Marriage, as a sequence. And here's what they say in the book to be quick about the research. Generally speaking, African American and Hispanic women and poor women value marriage. They value it. They value it so much, they don't think it's within their reach. It's like home ownership. It's not within my reach. Oh, it's for the middle class, it's for upper middle class, it's for educated. The name of her book is, what's her name of her book? Within My Reach. The program, no, that's not the name of her book. The name of her book is, I can't remember the name of her book. I'll think about it. It's that senior moment. But the program that Dr. Stanley and Dr. Markman created is called Within My Reach. Within My Reach, or Within Our Reach. And that's the program we teach with our marriage grant. Within My Reach and Within Our Reach. And it's concepts of how to do life well together. And I bet if I give you a snippet of some of the things that we do, you'll want more. Because everybody wants more. Okay, so the next slide looks like this. That family structure in this country, family structure matters to children. And in your packet of information, there is a CDC study, and it's a binder. It's like 500 pages. I only brought you the front page and the conclusion of the study, because I'm not bringing 500 pages for all of you. I love you, but not that much. Oh, you don't have this one?
I don't have any.
Okay. Can you start handing this out? It's in the back. Okay, let me just read you the conclusion, because you'll get one. Let me just read it to you. Here's the conclusion. First of all, the cohort that they studied was like 86,000. It's not like 200 families. It's like 86,000. That's huge. Okay, is that a representative sample? Like 86,000? It was a 7-year study, and it cost like $5 million. So it's kind of a pretty significant study. Let me just read you the conclusion. The findings presented in this report indicate that children living in nuclear families, that is, in families consisting of 2 married adults who are the biological or adoptive families of all children in the family, were generally healthier, more likely to have access to health care, and less likely to have definite or severe emotional or behavioral difficulties than children living in non-nuclear families. That's pretty conclusive. This is another duh study, but you kind of have to have data to support what you're saying. Now, Colorado, I love Colorado in a lot of ways, but Colorado had a Strengthening Families Conference this summer up in Keystone. I've been trying to get them to have a Strengthening Families Conference for 100 years. Do you know that in that conference for 2 days, 2-day conference, they never said the word marriage? They were so politically correct. I was the only breakout person that started talking about this, and you can almost hear an audible gasp. Because we're defining it differently now. This doesn't define it differently. This has research. Okay? And we're calling for more research. There's some research about same-sex committed, marriages and and how they raise children. Let's get the research. Let's get the research. So that's basically the PowerPoint on the graphs and charts. What I want to go through is the scope of the problem. There is a scope of the problem handout. Does anybody have it that I can have? Scope of the problem, it's big, bold, blue. Okay. I think I made it bold so I didn't have to get my glasses on. Okay. Getting old is not for sissies. You know this stuff. If you need the data for all of this, I have it. I can send it to you. I didn't print it out to save a tree. Okay. But there's all data. This is all data supported. Okay? Scope of the problem. 1 in 5 children lives below the federal poverty level in the United States, and almost 1 in 2 are poor or near poor. The effects of poverty on children's health and well-being are all well documented. And I have all the data for this. If you need the data, please email me. I'm going to give out my business cards. Email me and I promise I'll send it to you. Poor children have increased infant mortality, higher rates of low birth weight, subsequent health and development problems, increased frequency and severity of chronic diseases, greater food insecurity, poor access to quality health care, increased unintended injury and mortality, poor oral health, dental health, immunization rates, increase of obesity and its complications, toxic stress, and we can go on and on. And then we think about poverty as a determinant of health, and let's go to the next page. These are some consequences for children in poverty and adolescents. and poor educational outcomes with poor academic achievement, low rates of high school graduation, less positive social and emotional development, life trajectory altering events such as early unprotected sex with increased teen pregnancy, drug and alcohol abuse, increased criminal behavior, more likely to report adults, and here goes the cycle. And here it goes. The cycle continues. So that's the scope of the problem. Here's the recommendations. You've got recommendations on your page, recommendations? Okay? Let's talk about the recommendations, and then we can have a discussion. Okay? Because I really want to not lecture, because lecturing is not learning, it doesn't ignite your brain. Okay? They actually have studies about that. Okay, so number one, add relationship education and training workshops to case management protocols of temporary assistance to needy family TANF clients. In many of the counties that we work with, because of our marriage funding, we're able to get the case managers trained in our work, and child support enforcement in our work, because dads need to are important. Father absence is a huge issue. Okay, as one of the county executives talked about. Reduce or perceived or actual anti-marriage penalties and welfare programs that would reduce cash benefits if a couple is married. Create public education campaigns in low-income communities on the benefits of building and forming healthy families, maintaining healthy families, and building social supports. This is called success sequencing. Success sequencing. You know what success sequencing sounds like? Dick and Jane sitting in a tree, K-I-S-S-I-N-G. First comes love.
Baby and baby care.
That's it. And you go into a Denver inner city public school and you ask them to complete that little jingle and they cannot. It is gone from the lexicon. First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes baby, and the baby carriage. That is called success sequencing. You can have it all. You just can't have it all at the same time. So we talk about success sequencing in your life recipe, and what do you put in first, and what do you do first, and what do you do second. Do you know that people who do these three things, according to Bill Galston from Brookings, which is a left-leaning think tank in DC, Bill Galston looked at all the data, do three things to stay out of poverty. One, finish high school. College is a bonus. Two, don't have a baby before you're married. Three, don't get married till your mid-20s. Why mid-20s? Brain, decision making. Dr. Stanley calls it deciding rather than sliding into your relationships. Deciding rather than sliding into your relationships. When I hear kids, talk about falling in love, or even adults falling in love, I say, so what's so great about falling? Let's not fall into anything. Let's intentionally go there. Not that you want to undo the magic. You don't want to undo the magic. We like fairy dust and all that. I do too. I like twirling. I like all that. And I like the feeling of, with that endorphins and all that give me. But the fact is that you need to make decisions based on what works. Based on if you're compatible. That's why all these websites are, like these dating websites are going crazy, because there's compatibility surveys on there. And you know what the research tells us? That the more alike you are, the more chances you have of being a long-term relationship. Opposites attract, oh no doubt. Opposites attract, but the commonalities keep you together. Now you can go overboard with that. Like if both of us agree on everything, and we're both the same, one of us is unnecessary. Okay, but the point is, there's balance here. Okay, so anyway, here's encourage schools to educate students on the benefits of delaying childbearing until academic achievement goals are reached. Okay, require federal funding family planning clinics to provide classes on forming and maintaining healthy relationships to interested low-income couples or people. You cannot force people to do this, but offer it to them. They don't even offer it to them. These people don't even know what they don't know. And I'm going to share that with you in a moment. require federally funding family planning clinics to offer voluntary referrals to life planning, literacy, financial, and relationship skills education to all interested. You can't force people to do this, but offer it. Okay? Make voluntary relationship education widely available to interested couples in low-income communities. Reduce the barriers of attending those classes by providing meals, childcare, and transportation. Fund, create, and implement statewide strategy to promote healthy family formation and family-strengthening messages to prevent poverty and increase child well-being. Even little birdies, bird brain. Right, I used to hear that. Are you a bird brain? I mean, that's like a cut before we're so politically correct, okay? The fact is that even birdies know you build a nest first. Okay? And then you lay your eggs. Okay? And then they'll teach relationship literacy, financial and leadership skills to students, to be educated, teachers to necessary to create emotional and personal safety in the home, workplace, and the community, to be advocates for what they need to reach their full potential. Okay? Those are the recommendations to reduce this. So let's go into the nitty-gritty of all this. Okay? Let me just say that on your desk, or if not on your desk, on the chair back there should be, everybody should have one of these pages that has a bunch of numbers on it. You have it? A bunch of numbers? Everybody have one? Does everybody have a pen? Okay. What we're going to do here is a little game. Did I take this from you? Thank you. A little game. I'm going to get out my cell phone, and I'm going to time you here. What I want you to do is circle. Everybody have one? Who doesn't have one? Here's what we're going to do. Can you hear me? I don't want to scream. Okay. What I want you to do is I want you to circle these numbers in numerical order. Don't start yet until I tell you to go. 15 seconds. Okay, I'm gonna put my timer on. Okay, on your mark, get set, go.